Hey everyone, so this is the first out of 365 installments and episodes of this series called EA365, Evolutionary Astrology 365 days, with the intention of just feeding, channeling, sharing knowledge, information that I've collected, that I've soaked up and absorbed, and just sharing it with the collective to help us all remember these evolutionary astrological principles and the language in itself and the beauty behind it. So this first episode is going to be about Aries, just the nature of Aries, the evolutionary desire and intention of Aries energy, the evolutionary lesson of Aries, and I want to talk about maybe let's just keep it that basic, or third part, last part, be it about Aries in any point in your chart, you know, in any of the houses, basically. Because some of us may not have a sun in Aries, some of us may not have a planet in Aries, but all of us have Aries somewhere in the houses, so it correlates to some aspect in our lives. So the nature of Aries, let's look at the symbol in itself, right? We got this sprout, like this, you know, like this plant, really just, you know, coming up from the ground, coming into being. You know, let's say that, you know, the phase prior to Aries, Pisces, is that of dissolving the separateness of the self. To not be all about, you know, this is who I am and that's who you are. It's more about, this is who we are universally. This is what makes us all the same. This is what makes us all part of the one. That's Pisces, right? Dissolving your separateness, reaching this unity and this oneness, being, you know, being the individual that's an extension of Source. That's Pisces. Now, Aries is not a beginning point to back to like where we started, you know, when we were last in Aries. This is a spiral going upward. So this is Aries spring equinox represents a spiral upward in the cycle, a beginning of a new point. There being a new instinct, a new impulse, a new urge, a new creative, spontaneous fire that seeks expression. And something that's very, you know, very accurate and indicative of Aries energy is that it is not very self-defined, because it is a creative fire that seeks to discover itself. Very important. Remember, this is the starting phase. This is the phase to be okay with exploring, experimenting, going all out. Don't let, you know, preconceived notions, preconceived judgments stop you and hinder you. This is time for unchecked self-expression and self-exploration. Because something that's very key to note about the Aries creative fire is this. Consider this comparison. Leo is a very fixed, steady fire. It knows itself. Leo wants to be on stage. They know who they are. They want to just fully radiate and emanate that illumination. Hence why Leo, the lion, is ruled by the sun, the spirit of divinity. They are connected to it, and they seek to express that purpose and actualize it. That's Leo. In Aries, at the beginning point, there is still an exploration. There's this creative, spontaneous, instinctive, impulsive, you know, urge to try something new, to discover oneself, to discover something new about oneself. And experience is the vehicle of self-discovery. So that is the vehicle. So this is why following those urges, those instincts that you're feeling around this Aries season, wherever you may have Aries in the chart, whatever planet is in Aries, that energy, that instinct, that impulse is you listening to the instincts and the impulse of this new evolutionary cycle seeking expression through you. It is spirit, it is the collective soul, Pluto, speaking through you, and you becoming consciously aware of those desires and wanting to act upon them. This is the Aries fire. Something to note is, you know, I think sometimes Aries gets a bad rep for being rash, maybe too impulsive, maybe too aggressive, maybe not thinking before they act, getting into accidents. But you know what? It's trial and error is part of the experimentation and the self-exploration process. You know, just going into it, just know you're gonna mess up and make mistakes. Aries is about exploring that, having that courage, having that vitality, having that, you know, audacity to just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyways. Let's see what comes out of it. You might find out you're really good at it, or you might find something new about yourself, or you might find out that might not be your best route to go down. Either way, you learn something about yourself. Self-awareness and self-exploration is the Aries energy. And something very key to know about Aries is that whatever planet is in Aries, whatever, house cusp Aries is in your chart, this creative Aries fire is the lower octave energy of Pluto, which is the generational vibration. Pluto revolves around the Earth every 248 years, therefore it stays within any signs 12 to 15. So a lot of us, generations, 10, 12, 15 plus years worth of people have the same Pluto placement. So this is a generational energy. Now, in astrology, it is said that Pluto is the unconscious desires. Mars is the conscious desires. So they're the same thing, desires, but some of them, Pluto, are unconscious desires that emanate from deep within the soul, the underworld, the unconscious, Pluto. That aspect of self that seeks, rebirth, transformation, to be turned from darkness to light is Pluto. And that we become conscious through Aries. So those desires, those instincts, those urges are directly correlated to Pluto, the depths, the unconscious. It's the soul deep within that seeks expression, that seeks the evolutionary desire. So that's incredibly important to know about Aries. So sometimes, even though Aries fire might get a bad rep, it is incredibly important for that Aries fire to seek and to be allowed the freedom and independence to be expressed, to be discovered, to be experimented with, so we can learn about ourselves. And this is an extension of our soul seeking the expressions consciously through Aries. And look at your chart. Whatever the relationship between Mars and Pluto is, correlates to how you are expressing those desires from deep within your soul, Pluto. For example, if you look at the natal chart today, as of March 22, 2019, we'll see that Mars in Taurus, 24th, 23rd degree, has a 120-degree angle or harmonious triangle with Pluto and South Node in Capricorn. Both of them are in Earth signs. Both of them are forming one leg of a triangle, a trinity aspect, which reflects to a harmony between the personal will in Taurus, which is seeking the personal will, seeking self-reliance, self-sustainment, to survive on its own, to be, discovering new personal resources, accumulating new personal resources in a very slow, steady, grounded, practical way. Taurus, that's in line with these newfound values. Venus rules Taurus, is channeling and working with this transformation and evolution going on within Capricorn, which is us establishing a new career, a new way of seeking security and expressing our individuality in culture and society through our career, through who we are in the world, whether that's an artist, a musician, an entrepreneur, a business owner, a healer, a Reiki, worker, an acupuncturist, a yogi, a teacher, a student, an scientist, whoever you are in the world that you seek to establish, this is who I am within the collective, is Capricorn energy. So this trine between Mars and Pluto within the collective is representing that collectively our personal will, Mars, that's working slow, steady, Taurus, is channeling and harmonizing with this transformation and rebirth going on within the collective / Pluto in the Capricorn ceiling with South Node and Saturn. So this is the energy of Mars, and this is how it's correlated to Pluto. Now, thirdly, the evolutionary lessons of Aries are to embrace, like any other signs, their evolutionary lesson is to embrace its polarity. The balance of the polarity between the Aries creative fire of the self, of the ego, and the balancing of that and the need and desire and want for that equilibrium within relationships. Considering those two, considering your own creative voice and the culture and the society and the voice that yourself is being listened to from, the others that you're working within, that culture, the balancing of the self and not self is what gives these two energies their power when they're being embraced and balanced within. You know, we got to consider the voices that we're speaking into the others, their relationships, the audience, the community, the culture. So that's creative fire of Aries. Balancing that is what really illuminates and ascends Aries and or Libra. Anyways, I hope this helped you understand the Aries fire a little bit more. This is one perspective. There's so much that can be said about Aries energy, but I just wanted to clearly cover the Aries evolutionary intentions and desires to seek, you know, to discover something new about oneself by following our instincts and urge and wants, our impulses, that to our emanation from Pluto and how that's correlated Aries, Mars, and Pluto Scorpio energy, right? As Pluto, the evolutionary desires from deep within the soul, the unconscious, the underworld, being the higher octave, that Aries, Mars is more a lower octave from. These two are correlated, and considering the relationship between Mars, personal will, and Pluto, thirdly, is showing us how we're expressing this. And we spoke about how it's, you know, this trine within the collective right now is being expressed. And lastly, the evolutionary lessons of an Aries being that of embracing its polarity, Libra, the need and desire and want to be able to listen to others from their point of view, from their own world, and being able to reach that equilibrium between the creative self-expression of the self and the ego, Aries, and the need and desire and want for partnerships and relationships. Anyways, I hope you guys found this useful and understood maybe Aries just a tiny bit more. If you like any other topic specifically covered, please let me know in the comments below. Send me a DM, whatever works for you. And I'll see you next time for episode 2.